You got to make sure you walk them through. So while you're talking about the car, you're explaining to them, hey, this is a great car. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars, but what happens if it breaks down?
Yes.
Right? What are you going to do then? Right?
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive. I'm here in hot Las Vegas, Nevada, with the one, the only, the also famous. Did I set that up? Does that sound good,
Yep.
James?
Yeah, sounds great to me.
I'm James at GWC Warranty. What's going on, man?
Just out here living a dream in this, like you said, very, very, very hot Las Vegas. So looking forward to this.
Look, I am so glad we got the opportunity to connect, and you had some time to come and take this drive with me, and I know this is going to be a super fun podcast. And here's what I like to do, James. I like to kick off these podcasts with a little origin story, because I'm always fascinated, right, how people kind of stumble their way into the automotive industry. So let's start there. How did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
So it was actually a little bit of a weird start for me. I was actually working for the Dallas Cowboys. Exactly. So I was in the sweets and beverages. I was, bartending there, doing those things, and just getting out of school, and thinking that I wanted to be in that type of industry. And I was talking to my buddy who was working at a car dealership, and he showed me how much money he was making. Yeah, I went, holy moly, that's a lot of cash. So I walked into Goodson Acura and sat down and talked to a gentleman named Richard Schindler and Lewis Smith, and they said, we don't hire people without any car experience. I'm like, all right. So I told him, I said, listen, I will be your number one salesperson. You give me a chance. And can't remember whether it was Richard or Lewis, but one of them said, I like that response. We'll give you a shot. And I ended up being the number one car salesperson. And then the rest is history. Kind of grew through there, worked in finance, worked at, JM&A, worked my way through the car industry, dealer track way back when I was young, helped start a company called AAX way back with a guy named Randy Barone, and kind of worked my way through it into GWC. So
well, and this is one of those industries, man. Once it gets in you, like,
oh yeah,
good luck getting it out. I've tried actually twice, and it's like it's like that episode from Godfather. This sucks. You're right back in. It's funny. How I got into the business. There's some similarities there. I had a roommate who was a complete moron. And one day we're sitting there, I was working at Radio Shack. So now
nice.
I'm dating myself, right?
Yeah,
like you got questions, we got answers.
Yeah.
And I saw his pay stub and I was like, you're a complete idiot. There is no way you're making that much money. And similar to you, I was like, no, I guess I'm going to go be in the car business. And got in, and geez, now I can't imagine any other business to be in.
No,
It's just such a fun industry, and it's a challenging industry, but it's always challenging in like a good way, And I think that's kind of a perfect segue kind of into some of the topics that we're getting into, because I want to kind of start off with let's actually kind of start off with like the used car inventory mix. It's like it's so interesting right now. I could talk to somebody in North Carolina and then literally get off the phone and talk to somebody in middle Texas and get just wildly different kind of answers of just what's going on in the market and what they're seeing and how they're handling it. And I know you got a good thumb on the pulse there. So what are you seeing right now kind of in the market as from the used car side?
So on the used car side, it's basically getting back to the way it was the norm, right? We think 3 years ago, you go to the auction, you get a car if you could find a car, and then 60 days later, you can sell that car for a profit at the auction, right? Now you got to watch your inventory turn. You got to look at that and go, what is my right inventory mix? Yes. Making sure I've got the right cars. Who are people coming in to buy from me? And because you can't hold it 60 days, it's going to depreciate. It's going to go backwards, right? And so we're looking at that. We're looking at, LTVs are obviously a huge situation now with banks pulling back, right? They're pulling out of this area.
I mean, I could buy something 60 days ago thinking what I'd be able to get finance and kind of have an idea. That could totally change. Like it's just it's rapidly changing right now.
It is. It's crazy how it's changing, and then trying to get carries on cars, right? Because dealers always want to make the most money.
Of course.
But I always tell your dealers, listen, what is the number one reason somebody defaults in their loan? Because their car is broken.
100%.
Yep. So if your car is broken, they're not going to pay the loan. Your lender's going to be mad at you. So put an extended service contract on the car will get fixed, and then all of a sudden, you know what? You have good ratios with your lenders, right? That's the biggest thing.
And I'm glad that you bring that up, James, because I've had this really cool opportunity to consult and work with hundreds of probably close to 1,000 dealerships kind of across the country, both in Canada and the U.S. And I'm a patterns guy. I kind of like to see patterns, right? And I will 100% tell you that some of the most successful operations I've seen out there, their mindset around that warranty is very, very different than everybody else I talk to. And you nailed it right on the head. They look at that warranty more from a customer-centric approach, more of a customer service approach, not necessarily a profit center.
Yep.
But I'd love to kind of get your take on that. I mean, I'm sure you see a lot of this too. What's kind of the good, bad, and the ugly that you've been seeing?
So I've been in the industry a long time, right? So, back when I was in the, F&I box and step selling.
The box.
The dreaded box, right? And
I always hate that term.
Before menu selling, you pull somebody off the ceiling, they come in, promise like a $300 payment, you show them $1,000 payment, and you got to grab them off the ceiling and bring them back in. And
I think I worked in the same box you did.
Exactly. So, with the menu selling, it's come a lot easier, but getting your salespeople to start the process early, right? We all do the walk around of the car. We show them the engine. We show them all the different things like that. But we need to start also introducing if this car will break down, right? Being in the independent side of it, right, where we're talking all pre-owned, the car is going to break eventually, right? It's not a brand new car. It doesn't have the warranty that the manufacturers are giving it. So you're going to have to approach those situations, right? We're driving this cool Mercedes. Well, if this Mercedes breaks down, it's going to be
I can't imagine anything on this car breaks down. It's going to be expensive.
Exactly, right? So people don't have the income in today's world with inflation and interest rates and all those things like that to get a car fixed.
Yes.
And nowadays, water pumps are going to cost you $600-700 to fix instead of
easily. Easily. And I like I said, I think it's just a very customer-centric approach.
Mm-hmm.
When we are presenting the vehicle in a holistic payment perspective, all right, early on in the process, I'm with you, right? Like early on in the process, look, it's I think it's better for the dealership because I typically see higher closing rates when it comes to warranty. One, it's pitch and more of a holistic approach, and it's just a better experience for the customer because, to your point, they go that 4 years or that 3-year mark into it, and that water pump goes out, they're already capped out. I mean, look, things are expensive now. All right, that $500 payment that you had, before COVID is now a $750, payment. Like I'm with you. And then let's talk a little bit about kind of like strategy and kind of like process, because I'm sure you've seen some really great examples, maybe not so great examples. Like what do you see in some of the kind of the uber successful dealerships from process perspective and then from a people perspective, approaching the warranty?
Yeah, so just casual conversation, right? When we're talking about a vehicle, we're talking about generally their second largest purchase ever in their life.
100%.
Right? So you want to explain how to protect that car. And I think in today's world, you look, even when you shop on Amazon, you go to Best Buy, they're presenting a service contract everywhere. So in today's world, you can do that up front. You can talk about, cars breaking down. If you're buying a Land Rover, pre-owned Land Rover, you want to get a service contract, right?
Better.
Yeah. Even Hondas, they talk about, Teslas, electric cars being so reliable. Well, Teslas break down, right?
Yeah.
And you can't fix a car in today's world, right? Unless you're a computer scientist and you can plug something in, you're not fixing the car. And so you got to make sure you walk them through. So while you're talking about the car, you're explaining to them, hey, this is a great car. It's going to cost you X amount of dollars, but what happens if it breaks down?
Yes.
Right? what are you going to do then, right?
Well, let's talk a little bit about warranty and kind of the difference out there, because I do know this, you know this, not all warranties are created equal.
Yes.
And as dealers, I get it. Look, we're making financial decisions with the best information that we have in front of us. What, in your opinion, what should dealers be looking for in a good quality warranty partner?
Correct. Yeah. So, GWC obviously is the best. We're in right around 7,000 stores across the nation. We've paid $3.6 billion worth of claims. Okay, so with a B, that's a lot of money that we spent out there. When you're looking for a partner, you want to make sure that your car is protected properly, right? So we want to make sure we do exclusionary coverage. We don't have limited lines of liability, right? So sometimes you go out there and you get a service contract and you get a provider and they come in and they have limited lines of liability and it'll fix up to, say, $6,000. Well, what are you going to get fixed? Transmission costs more than that nowadays. Just the other day, we had a claim that come in $18,000. Well, if you have a limited lines of liability on that car, your consumer is paying that money up front, out of pocket, right? And then what happens then? They're mad at you, the dealer, and then they get on social media, and then all of a sudden you can't hide from that. You can't hide from the social media. So making sure that whoever you're partnering with, it's going to be a great contract. They're going to pay your claims. They're going to do the right things. So the nice thing about us is, we have GWC employees. So all of our field reps work for GWC.
They're not third party like I find most people.
Exactly. They're not agents. So we're out there every day. We service the stores. We're in there monthly. We make sure that they're AFIP certified, which helps them in compliance. So we want to make sure we help the dealers and make sure we keep them aware of everything that's happening out there, as well. And keeping compliance is a huge thing because, everybody's always trying to sue a car dealership, right?
I want to get into, because this has been kind of a hot topic actually for a couple of the dealers that I've been working with, is EV warranties.
Yes.
Let's face it, an EV is not necessarily a car. It is, I get it. Right? It's got four wheels and a steering wheel, but I mean, it is a very, very, very different piece of technology, and and not every warranty company out there is really prepared to provide some type of service contract or more warranty on that. How did you guys approach kind of the EV portion? Because I find everyone's doing it a little bit different.
It's very tough, right? Because because EVs haven't been as popular, right? So I guess when you talk about EVs, they've been around for a while, but now they're super popular, right? Because the government's making sure everybody's going to move to EVs and so forth. I have a golf cart, right? I look at my golf cart, I'm like, okay, I got a battery in that, let's go. But EVs, the brake systems are different. Even like we talked about water pumps earlier, they have not a water pump. It's a different, it's like a coolant pump, right? Yes. So all those different things. So we made sure we have pure EV coverages. So we cover the batteries. That's a big thing, right? A lot of people don't cover batteries. We cover the batteries, so if it's one cell, the whole thing, we're going to cover the entire car.
Oh, okay. So I think that's actually a really good thing for a lot of people. I think if you're watching and listening right now, every EV is kind of built slightly different. There are EVs out there that have one monster cell, and then there are EVs out there that have separate cell batteries. The difference is that you can replace an individual cell versus having to replace the entire thing, and that fundamentally changes the replacement cost in a really, really, really big way. So you guys have even gone as far and as deep into it, saying like, no, we understand the value between these as well. Okay,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you said, the battery's going to end one day. That's the good and bad about EVs. Yeah, when you look at the environment, it's great for the environment because it's not polluting anything, but it's going to stop working, right? So if it stops working and you have your coverages, that battery could cost $20,000, right?
Oh, easy
all day long, right? So making sure that the partner that you have does cover EVs is huge. And even working, with Tesla and stuff like that, we work with Tesla. Tesla's not the easiest EV company to work with because I guess they were first on the market. But we work with them. We work with all the manufacturers, obviously, like that. But that's a huge thing. Batteries, they're going to go.
Well, and they are. And I think that's one of the reasons why I see, like, there are definitely some used car operators out there that really have embraced, the used side of the EVs, because they depreciate quite quickly. And when they do, they can actually, be some really good deals and some very great bargains. But I know there's a lot of used car dealers out there that are afraid to touch those because the stories that you hear. And I mean, having a warranty partner that's like, no, look, we got your back. Like, if you decide to get into that space, we got a solution. I think is a really big deal.
Yeah, it was. So we just revamped our entire service contract. We just relaunched our new GWC service contracts with all these changes, updated changes, full EV coverages. We went into the medium duty trucks, changed all those different things like that. So we really listened to our dealers, right? Yeah. What was concerning for them, even like increasing our lift kit coverages, increasing the tire sizes, all those things like that. Is we went to the dealers. We took a good 6 to 8 months of conversation with our dealers and said, okay, this is what you guys need. Yeah. Let's go ahead and change our coverages to help you guys.
You brought up something, and James, I like to find rabbit holes sometimes, so I like to go down. I had a Mitsubishi dealership, which you all know is a used car dealership, the flag out front.
Yep.
But one of the things that I found to be successful kind of in the Mitsubishi world was I really, really embraced the accessory market, like really embraced the accessory market. But that was always, it became a problem because the warranty company I was working with didn't necessarily embrace the accessories. So, we got to a point where almost 1 out of every 3 vehicles we were selling on average had about $1,900 worth of accessories going out. And so how do you guys approach it? Because I know that there are some great operators out there that have found some very cool pre-owned car niches, where either they're lifted trucks or, so on and so forth. How do you guys approach that aftermarket stuff?
Speaking of lifted trucks, right? So they're out of Phoenix, and they're huge operator. We actually are their service contract provider, lifted trucks, right? And that's all they do. It's lift trucks. All they do, right? 6-inch, 8-inch, big tires, all those things.
This is a big used car outfit, and all they do is just lift a truck.
Yeah, do a great job of that. So we wanted to make sure that we cover those properly, right? With the bigger tires, it's an issue, right? Making sure you reserve properly for having to have bigger tires, because when you have bigger tires or lifts, the steering arms, all the different things, they have more wear and tear, right? Yes. And we even do Canadian vehicles. So that's, I'm Canadian, it's kind of like you, right? So the biggest thing when you think about it is when you get a pre-owned car and it's a Canadian vehicle, well, then all of a sudden your coverages are gone.
And you guys are covering a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember I had to have multiple companies kind of based on what we were selling to, because not, like I said, not every warranty company is created equal. All right, I'm gonna throw another one at you. All right, I'm gonna see if I can stump you. I'm gonna keep going. All right, how about RV and powersports world?
Yes,
because I love that world. Yes. I love that world. But talk about, like, I mean, my father just recently bought one of those B-class vans. 6-figure stupid. It's just like, and it's like already like a month into it, an AC unit goes out or something like that. But what solutions do you guys have for that market?
So we do full power sports as well. So be it a boat, be it an RV, be it a motorcycle, be whatever, we cover it. So the biggest thing in the RV world is each of these RVs are not created equal. Right? Not at all. So, and the problem is the generator has a different warranty on it. Yeah. The air conditioner might have a different warranty.
They're all from different companies.
Frame, the engine, all those different things might be different because of how they put together the RV. Yeah. So making sure you have those things. So our RV coverage is huge. Our RV department does an amazing job making sure that we do cover all of those different little things that could go wrong on an RV, because they do carry different warranties on each of these different places of our products.
Well, and also I love that space, because I mean, like, it's one thing, you buy a car because you need a car. All right, you're buying an ATV, you're buying a boat, or you're buying an RV because you want to buy it. And when you want to buy something like that, you plan on using that thing. And you want to know that it is protected and that it is covered and that will continue to bring the fun that you hope to get out of it, right? Now, I want to go into a little bit of, because this is my marketing brain kicking on, right? So, I like to identify patterns. And again, I've seen, some of the more, I don't know, let's call it successful operators out there really kind of embrace, the warranty from a branding perspective. And I love to see, have you seen some great examples of this, and how did it kind of play out?
So branding in general, we go branding to the next degree sometimes. We sponsor a race team, Bomb Raider Racing. So we've wrapped NASCAR and we want to be everywhere. For me, myself, branding is everything, right? Being in places, being here in Vegas, traveling. My biggest thing is I want to be out there in the field, and I want to have our name out there, right? So we even give our field team money to buy shirts, to do different things, to drop stuff at the stores, right? Because the more you see it, the more you think about it, right?
Because you want your dealer or your dealer partner, right? You guys have a brand, and I love the fact that you guys are also building a brand from the consumer's perspective, right? Because how powerful is that for me from a dealership perspective, that you guys are also focused on your brand. So when I bring and I offer a GWC solution to my customers, they may even recognize, oh, wait, I know those guys. I've seen that before. And I think that says a lot. Again, that's something that I would probably be looking for in a warranty partner, because, as a dealership, like, it's important. I got to stand out. Brand is, again, everything for me. And to have a partner that also believes the same thing, I think is a big deal.
It's huge. Yeah. I mean, I try to sponsor as many things as possible, state associations. Yeah. It's huge. And that's why I'm also always out in the field with our field people, right? I like to be out in the field, because when I'm walking into a store, I'm making decisions based on what the store's needs are, right? A lot of times you have people in the ivory tower and they sit at that and they're in their office and they make decisions, but they haven't asked the decisions based on what a dealer needs, right? And so when you walk into the store, I might think, oh yeah, this is the greatest idea ever. Right? And I talk to a dealer and he's like, oh, you're stupid, James. So I make sure that when I go and have questions and talk to dealers, that I'm positioning certain situations in certain areas, that the dealer goes, yeah, you know what, I have a need for that. I really do appreciate what you're asking, right? And then I'm like, okay, you know what, this will work, right? This will work because the dealers think this will work.
Well, and that's what I need out of a partner, right? And I think people need to really kind of look at warranty as not just being a product or a solution, but really there is a partnership there. And I'm confident the dealers that have leaned into you guys and you leaned into them and really kind of create that partnership, they've seen some great success. I'm just real quick, because I've asked a bunch of people this, and I'm kind of curious to see what your perspective is like, because you talk to a lot of dealers as well as like I do. What do you would say some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing that dealers are facing, and how do you see some of the best operators really kind of taking on those challenges?
I think when you look at the best operators in today's world, is they're looking at their turn times, right? Everybody looks at their turn times. You always want to try and keep your inventory fresh, right?
Yes.
But back 2-3 years ago, you could hit a home run on every car. Every car, it didn't matter, you're hitting a freaking home run on every car. Well, we got to get back to realism now, and we got to go, you know what, I need to turn that inventory.
Yes.
I need to turn my inventory, because my inventory is depreciating. So I look nowadays, right, and the dealers that are more successful, the dealers that are growing, have embraced to come back to the norm, and they're trying to turn their inventory, every 30 days, every 45 days, instead of sitting on it 120 days, stuff like that, having cars have birthdays. You could do that 2 years ago, but now you can't, and also realizing that maybe I can go get that car with a little bit more miles, because that's the car that I sell,
Yes.
right? If you're known for selling European models, right? Why are you buying an F-150?
Okay, no, I love that you bring this up because I'm 100% with you on this one. I see way too much, let's call it identity crisis.
Yes.
Where like the lots don't know what they are. So they'll literally try to be everything to everybody, and you'll have everything from a $5,000 to a Accord to a $90,000 911. It's just like, what? So you find that to be one of the keys to success is really just kind of embracing that portion.
Listen, you want the 911. Everybody wants the 911, right? Because you want to drive it for the weekend. You got a date, you're going to take the 911, right? But exactly your point. If I'm known for Honda Accords or Toyota Camrys and I got a 911, when my salesperson goes out and drives a car they're not familiar with, you know what? They're asking. It's not a conversation. When I know the car and I'm talking to somebody, I'm having a conversation. I'm not truly selling, right? So if it's got a rattle, it brakes squeak, whatever it is, I know what that is because I'm familiar with that, right? That's the difference. Your salespeople know your inventory. Your salespeople are used to your inventory. If you want to sell cars, make sure you know the cars to sell, right?
Yeah, you gotta know your market, really kind of lean into it. And you're right. I mean, some of the best players I see out there right now have 100% done that. Yeah. I will say, and I want to get kind of your thoughts on this too. The other thing I've kind of seen as a consistent pattern with some amazing, in both franchise and independent, but I've actually even seen more so on the independent side is dealers really getting involved in their community. Yes. Right? Like, I mean, it's one thing to be a part of the community and you're sponsoring the Pee-wee stuff and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I'm seeing some people that are like really getting into it and creating their own community events and stuff like that. I'm curious, have you seen some like cool examples of this?
I have, right? So, I sponsor some myself, some little league teams and baseball teams. I'm sure the kids are like, what is GWC Warranty? But you know what? it's fun to, see our name out there on things like that. But yeah, I mean, how much money does it cost you to park a car at a baseball game? How much money does it cost you to park a car beside an event? Yep. Doesn't cost you anything, right? And, sometimes, is it a pain in the ass to go out of my way to do those things? Yeah, but you know what? You get those sales. How much does it cost you to market a car? It costs you a lot of money. You got your internet, you got your, back in the old day, newspaper articles, all the different things like that, right? Radio, TV, all those things cost money. But if you can find a way to advertise yourself without costing that money, that's the biggest thing, right? I remember I used to go and take my business card and go put them on the windshields, right? Exactly, right? I'm sure a lot of people went, damn it, what the hell has this guy got? Well, see my name on it, right? But, whatever you can do to get yourself out there, that's the biggest thing.
Well, and I'm with you. And I think it's cool that, anybody I partner with, I want them to have that same kind of mentality as well, right? And I think that, like I said, I've been a fan of GWC from a distance for a while, and I just, so it's been a lot of fun to really kind of get in the car with you, jam a little bit. I know we're kind of getting towards, the tail end of our time today, and I think I could easily jam with you probably a good another hour or so. But before I let you go, James, for everybody out there watching and listening who would love to connect with you or just learn more about the offerings that GWC has, like, what's the best way to connect?
Best way, listen, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, there. I mean, my cell phone number is posted. I always have my cell phone number posted. It's 972-854-1940. I'm not afraid to pick up the phone. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody, right? Because you have to be confident in what you're doing, right? I believe in three things, and I make sure I try to live by these three: the past, present, future, right? What is the past? The past is our lessons, right? We learn from what we did right, what we did wrong, right? Present is our gift. Everything that we're doing right now in this beautiful car, talking, it's just a gift that we are alive, right? And the future is our ambition. The future is not written. If you guys have trust and you can just go out there and just work hard, you're going to be successful, right? And you got to live by those things. And that's why, I'm confident in what we do.
Dude, I'm so glad we had the chance to jam together. This has been a lot of fun. Hey, for everybody out there watching, listening right now, you need to connect with James. He's one of the most approachable people I've ever met. I guarantee you message him, he'll message you. He'll message you back. But hey, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch today's episode. You all have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.